Well, you can see that Mike is certainly dressed up for today's tutorial, and we are both in that giving spirit. We are going to be working on this awesome little Christmas tree gift card holder for all of you. We have a sewing and a no sewing style for you. Let's get started. That is right. I do love the gift giving season, and we do have a great, super simple project, and I'm going to show you the sewing version first. And if you stick with me, I'll show you the super kids friendly no-sew version in just a few moments, because this won't take long at all today. Now, by the way, before I forget to say it, welcome everybody. I am Rob Appell from Michael Miller Fabrics. I'm glad you're here with me today at Making It Fun. We love making it fun. Everything fabric we do is fun. If it ain't fun, it ain't worth doing is our motto, and I'm super glad you're here. Like I said, it's going to be a super fast project, so I can spend a little time promoting our fabulous new basic Cocoa. Cocoa comes in 50 colors. It's basically 10 color families, 5 shades each, and we're going to be playing with the green and the brown today, but I just had to entice you, wet all of your whistles a bit with this gorgeous fat quarter bundles. And keep in mind, in your local quilt shops, your favorite online retailers, you should be able to now find very soon, if not already, the 5x5 squares, the 10x10 squares, and the 2.5-inch strip rolls, as well as these beautiful fat quarter bundles. So yes, we are going to use our shades to make the little tree. If you look close, I'm actually using 4 strips in the body of it. There are 5 strips, and I basically am kind of omitting the lightest of them from the greens. Our little strips we've made here, you're going to need, like I said, 1 from each color, 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the colors, and these are 1 3/4 inches. I don't want you to go any smaller because we do need to be able to fit the cool little gift cards. Now, the next thing I want to point out, because the gradients are so beautiful and lovely within the Cocoa itself, right? So normally they're packed dark to light, and I love the way they just blend perfectly like that. But what we need is we need a little more character in our tree today. So I'm going to kind of mix and match. So basically it's like color 5 is here, then 3, then 4, then 2, and that gives me a little bit more contrast in my seam allowances. These are from the fat quarter bundle, so I used 18-inch strips, 1 3/4. I already told you that if you were paying attention, and now we're just going to sew them together with a 1/4-inch seam allowance. And if you've seen my videos before, I actually always start sewing, if you saw that, looking at the second piece on top. So check it out. This is piece 1. Now here, this is piece 2. I'm going to lay this over right here, sewing pieces 1 and 2 together, but looking at piece 2 first with a 1/4-inch seam allowance. Super easy. And even though this is going to be a super simple project today, there's no reason to take unnecessary shortcuts. So let's go ahead and now just press up into our new color. So I'm pressing up into that color 2. So I'm basically saying I'm going to press between every stitch or every seam I put on here. Not every stitch, that would be really time consuming. All right, the caffeine got the best of me. Fine. Okay, if you're new here, yes, I'm over caffeinated, and usually my tongue gets tied, and it's just the way we enjoy hanging out here together. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add on the rest of the strips real quick so that I can get this done in a hurry, sewing them all from one direction. I'm not worrying about going up one way, down the other. We are just going to cut little Christmas trees out of this stuff here in a second. So let's get our strips sewn together. You got 4 strips. All of them are 1 3/4 inches wide, and then I'm going to show you another trick in just a second. And like I said earlier, you can see how beautiful the contrast is. You can see all the strips. And now the special trick, because we want to have a finished edge. Look, we want to have a nice clean edge there to stick the gift card within. So I did also make 1 extra strip of whatever is going to be my bottom color. And it really doesn't matter too much. It could be any of your strips, but you are going to want 1 more, a 5th strip. This is still 18 inches wide, but this is now 2 1/4. That is right. You guessed it. We're going to double fold with a 1/4-inch seam allowance, and that's why we needed a 1/2 inch larger here than we did there with those 1 3/4. How big are those, guys? 1 3/4. That's right. Okay, so now if you're paying attention, we're going to take this and we're just going to, with our fingers, real nice and easy. You could certainly press it if you wanted to. I'm just going fast. But you're just going to flip it over like this, and then one more time, like yay. So that's basically giving myself a 1/2 inch fold over. raw, or killing that raw edge. Bring it over to the 1/4-inch foot, drop it down. We're just gonna do a little bit of top stitching here, but it would be a great time for me to mention you might wanna have some thread in your bobbin that looks good on the outside of your cool fabric here, because it is going to show up now. And away we go. Just watch that needle. You want it landing right on the edge there. And presto, and there really is no reason to hit that with the iron because it's all done and finished, but now that that raw edge has been covered. So what we're gonna now do, and if you are doing different measurements, or maybe you wanna just measure because your 1/4-inch is different than my 1/4-inch, because I see that a lot in quilting classes, but I'm gonna need some backing material as well, right? So we have a little cute backing, and this is where I now used my lighter color of my cocoa. I am still representing all 5 colors. 5 1/4 wide is how we need it. Again, 18 inches, right? 5 1/4, 18 inches. But what we're gonna now do is we're gonna set everything up so that we can go right to the sewing machines after we're done cutting. So what we wanna do, we're gonna do some right sides together. Okay, so the first thing I wanna do is I wanna take my strip set, my tree to be on the outside, and I'm gonna lay it dark to light, moving from, this is what I'm gonna consider the top of the tree, this is the bottom of the tree. The bottom of the tree is what holds the gift card, and that's why I made this out of the darker color. So now I'm bringing in that finished piece of fabric and I'm laying it, so basically making the other piece of fabric below it invisible, okay? So that's gonna be just like that. And now to keep everything secure while I cut, I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna lay it right on top, and I'm going ahead and getting myself in perfect there. Okay, and now the next thing we need is a wonderful triangle ruler. I love these from Creative Grids. And I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna cut these things top to bottom. I'm laying my top here. So I'm just gonna come up here. What I am concerned about are these edges. I wanna make sure that on my first cut over here, I'm not falling off too far. I want a full tree. So I'm gonna go all the way up to that squared tip up there like that, all the way up. And I've been teaching some pretty bad cutting habits over here at Making It Fun. So what we really should do is take a moment and rotate everything, okay, just to be safe. Now we can take our template or our ruler, lay it right back on that same line we were doing there. And now I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to cut another perfect triangle like that. And now we're just gonna sew these things right sides together, but we do need to have a little opening. So I'm gonna leave an opening down here on this edge. This is what we're gonna start, just like we would be doing a pillow or something else like this. We're gonna start down on the edge, the bottom edge of our tree. We're leaving that opening. Definitely leave your opening at the bottom of the edge of the tree. That's where we're gonna put the trunk in a second. Now I'm gonna lower my presser foot, and I'm gonna sew to the corner, and I'm gonna sew actually straight off the corner, securing everything. I raise the presser foot, I rotate the fabric, drop the presser foot again, and begin sewing straight through. We're gonna sew all the way up to this top corner. At the top corner, I come off, and again, I'm just gonna drop the needle, lift the foot, make the pivot, and keep on going down to the other side. Off the corner again, pick it up, rotate, drop it down, making sure you're catching everything. Okay, now I'm just gonna cut my threads for a second here, and I wanna make sure that I've got about a 2 or 3 inch opening right here. And before I turn it back to right sides out, I am gonna dog ear the corner, right over where the threads cross right there, and right over where the threads cross up here, and I'm gonna come back up here and I'm gonna do it right where the threads crossed up there, and that's why I wasn't worried that I didn't make it all the way up on one fabric as high as the other. Go ahead and reach on in there. Make sure you're grabbing between the inside and the outside of the tree, or the front and the back of the tree is what I'm trying to say. Watching out for that little sleeve we were leaving behind. I'm hoping it was pretty obvious that the top edge was the sewing edge on that little sleeve we were leaving behind. And you know I often keep a little stiletto or something handy at my sewing machine. So I'm just going to use the back end of something get in here. A purple thing would be terrific for this. That's what they're kind of made for, the little thing of the purple thing. I just don't happen to have one because it would be in my mouth like all the rest of you if I did right now, because anyone that owns a purple thing knows that you just kind of chew on it while you're sewing. It's the cool part of it, right? Okay. Now, we are going to need to make this closure here in a second. The best way to do that is to hit it with an iron now, a hot iron now. And then as I'm finishing it out this way, then I'm just going to kind of come in here with my fingers and I just roll the edge under. Just going to roll the edge under super nice. And that'll set us up for successful top stitching and finishing. But remember, kids, we've got to put the trunk on the tree, right? We got to give it the character we want here. And this is just a cool little loop. And it's really made as an entire, like I said, no raw edges. So we're going to make ourselves this little finished pocket. And I'm going to show you this cool little trick. So for that, you just need a scrap of whatever, probably binding strips you had laying around, because I want it to be 2.5 inches to make our life easy. So I've got a 2.5 inch strip. This happens to be 18 again because I'm working from my fat quarters. Now here's our super cool trick. If you've never seen me turn a tube, might be the best thing you learn all day. No. Gift giving is the best thing you learn all day. So here what I've got is a safety pin secured to a good strong cord, a piece of twine, something like that. And as I get ready to lay this wonderful strip of cocoa fabric together, this was kind of the medium brown out of my stack of brown colors. And I'm just going to go ahead now and I'm going to pin up in what's going to be the top corner edge. As I sew this, I'm going to lay that strip in here, and then I'm just going to reach my fabrics over to go right sides together, kicking that kind of cording to the back. Go to the sewing machine for the 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then just make sure you don't stitch into that cord. So using my fingers here to keep that cording behind the needle, out of the way of the needle. And that cord, well, I'll show you here in a second, is going to be a pretty awesome little trick. Now the key to this trick is, other than having a strong safety pin that was well secured at the top, is to give it a little bit of a start. This is just going to be kind of our crutch or our assistance as we go through. So I'm pushing the corner down in good like this. As I start to pull back here, now I'm using my other hand, I'm kind of letting it travel, let it travel. And voila, now I've got my hand on the good fabric, no longer trusting that little safety pin. It's been in one too many quilts, I'll tell you that much. Okay, pull this out here. And now I've got a perfect no raw edge trunk. I'm gonna hit it with the iron, and when I hit it with the iron, I'm making sure that my seam is right now up on the ironing board. Just a reminder, that was a 2.5 inch piece of fabric to start with. Now what we want to do is make it into a 3.5 inch strip. So I'm going to just trim it, spin it for safety, come on in, measure my 3.5, trim it there, and then when I get ready to insert it into the tree, I'm going to make where that seam is on the inside. I'm going to stick this up in the tree. Everything's secure like that. You should probably put a straight pin through here if you want, but I'm not going to worry about it. I am going to come on over here now, and I'm going to get ready to top stitch. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that my top stitching captures that trunk though early on, so I don't have to worry about it. And I do want to be pretty close to the edge of my fabric. If you top stitch in too far with the measurements I've given you today, your gift card may not fit so great. So as I come around this corner here, I'm going to make sure that I'm getting a nice even stitch. Just making sure you don't sew too far into that little sleeve or that little pocket. You're just letting that needle edge ride right along the fabric there, coming up into the corners. And as you come out of that last corner, you just want to make sure you go ahead and match up to that first layer of thread there. And there it is, looking terrific, right? Now the last step you can do, as you can see right here, is you want to use a little piece of ribbon. Now do make sure you're using a fabric ribbon, not one of those paper ribbons, because you want to make sure that you can really stitch it into place. For that, you're going to want about 5 inches, and you can just basically take that there, roughly 5 inches there, and then you're going to want to have a hand needle ready with some thread. And what I did for that is I actually just went through the back edge so that I didn't have any of that thread showing up on the front. And I first just went in and did myself a little loop, knot here, so that's secure. Whoop. Like that. And then take your ribbon, pinch it in half, match up your little edges down there, and you can first start, just to make life easy, by running your needle, if you could pick it up off the table, run your needle through both layers of your fabric ribbon there. Then you can bring it down and you begin sewing it into place by hand, just using that back layer of fabric to secure, just like that. 3 or 4 passes through, knot it up, and you are all set. But remember, we have a no sewing version I've got to show you, and you're just going to absolutely love it. So let me slide some extra stuff in here onto the set for you. And for the no sew version, basically I'm using up some of my scraps from the last project, which I called the Cocoa Star. So check it out if you haven't already seen it. I'll put a link at the end of the video. And for this, basically, now where is my little sample? Oh, that's right, Mike's holding it right over here for you. So you can see, you can hardly tell on camera which is which, but this is going to be super easy for the kids. So basically, I used that same 8-inch ruler, right, with the top and everything. You can see I chopped it just the same, and I just cut myself a nice base out of cardstock. Super easy. So first start by cutting your triangle, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to use a glue stick. You can use your school glue stick. I happen to love these Appell sticks that are fabric safe as well. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it basically, and I'm covering up my work surface, of course, with a scrap piece of cardstock, nice and firm so it doesn't move around too much. And then I'm just going to go ahead and slide some glue over here, and we're going to do the exact same formula where we're going to lay ourselves out with a nice piece of fabric, and then we'll put another piece of fabric over the top. So it'll always be covered in fabric. And like I said, because I'm using scrap, I just want to make sure I have enough. And this first layer, I'm not even concerned at all, and we're going to trim at the end. So now I just want to mix my colors as I go. And like I said, I'm just using up some of these scraps that I've got. That one will be big enough. And now you can just go ahead and you want to put a little more glue across the top layer of where you were working. And for this piece, you're going to want to take it real quick and you're going to want to trim it down a little bit more into that rectangular format. But it's okay if it runs at a little angle because it'll make it fun like that. So then you go ahead, put yourself a little bit more glue on your cardstock. Fit in your next piece, and don't forget to rotate or alternate your colors as well. Little more glue, little skinnier piece. And with this, you don't have to stop at 4 pieces. You could do 5 pieces if you wanted. Just going to build our way up. Make sure you save a nice long one though for the bottom, as we need. Getting all of that covered like that. Now what we want to do is we want to figure out which one's going to be on our bottom piece. So first, we may want to go ahead and flip this over and just trim it. Keep your hand safe though. Use yourself a ruler. So now you can quickly see what your size and shape is, or if you have any of these little accidents, maybe that's a little easier to see there without that white background. So we definitely want to cover that up. So now I know I'm going to have a piece that comes in right from there to there. So now what I'm going to do again, I want to have a finished edge across the top. So I'm going to take myself real quick on the back side and the long side of the piece we're saving for that top sleeve. Just go ahead and glue it up. and it's stuck to your fingers, if it's like it's stuck to mine right now, but just fold it over. And the glue sticks are great because they dry so quick that it's basically ready to now be worked with. And now for this method, what I want you to do is just very carefully, again, just along the edges and just along the bottom this time, because you want to leave a sleeve. So just along the edges, just along the bottom, you're going to glue that up real good. Bring it right where it goes. Let that sit for a few moments. So you might want to cover up your glue stick. And I learned that one the hard way. Then peel it up. We're going to trim it one last time. Maybe I should have let it dry a little longer. Okay. Perfect, perfect, perfect here. And then there's your cute little no-sew tree. I did use another 5-inch piece of the ribbon, but I literally just put on the back side of the cardstock. I flipped it over, put that ribbon on, and I just used a piece of Scotch tape, covered up right over the top there, and had plenty of room that I could do some nice writing on the back of there, or have a child write some nice note on the back of there, which would make it like a perfect little gift. And of course, then you go out and you match the gift card to the person or the individual, you know, even the pet that you love. We love to give gift cards to the pets in our family, so we can go out and go have some fun and go shopping and let them pick the toys that they want and that kind of stuff. So at any rate, of course, we are getting into the holiday season. This time it's not too early like it was back in July when we did the fun gnome project. Check that out as well. It's a great little holiday fabric from Michael Miller, the Gnome to Falah. And again, Coco is awesome. I'm glad you are here. I want to wish you all a wonderful start to your holiday season. I'll be back next week with another radical video for you all to enjoy. Until then, my friends, happy sewing and stay safe. We'll see you next time. What? Are you actually still here? That's fantastic. Make sure you check out some more of my other fabulous content right here on YouTube. I think it's terrific. Please subscribe while you're there and make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss another moment of the fun.